Have you ever looked at an old map and noticed something off? A landmass where there should be ocean, or an island that simply isn't there anymore. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Forbidden Cartography, exploring the fascinating and often bizarre reasons why 16th century maps are filled with countries and continents that never existed. This isn't just about mistakes. It's a story of ambition, imagination, and power. Let's start with the big one, Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. For centuries, European thinkers, going all the way back to the ancient Greeks, believed that the world needed balance. They reasoned that the large landmasses in the northern hemisphere must be counterbalanced by an equally massive continent in the south to keep the Earth from tipping over. It was pure theory, a geographical necessity born from philosophy, not exploration. So, when cartographers in the 16th and 17th centuries drew their world maps, they often included a gigantic continent hugging the South Pole. It wasn't based on any actual sightings. Instead, it was a placeholder for a land they were sure must exist. Every small island sighted in the Southern Ocean was thought to be a peninsula of this great southern continent. It took explorers like Captain James Cook, who circumnavigated Antarctica in the 1770s without ever sighting a massive continent, to finally start erasing this phantom land from the map. Terra Australis was a dream, a ghost of logic that haunted our maps for 2,000 years. But not all phantom lands were born from philosophy. Some were created by simple and sometimes comical misunderstandings. Take the legendary island of California. Yes, for over a century, California was widely depicted on maps as a massive island, separated from the North American mainland by a long, narrow sea. Where did this idea come from? It all started with a popular 16th century Spanish romance novel called Las Sergas de Esplandian. This fantasy book described a mythical island named California, ruled by a queen named Calafia, and inhabited by powerful black warrior women who used gold tools. When Spanish explorers, led by Hernan Cortes, reached what we now know as the Baja California Peninsula, they thought they had found this fabled island. The peninsula's long, thin shape and the surrounding gulf made it look like it could be separate from the mainland. The name stuck, and the misconception was born. A cartographer's error in interpreting a Spanish explorer's account cemented the mistake, and for the next 150 years, map after map showed the island of California. It was a classic case of wishful thinking and fiction bleeding into reality. It took dedicated land expeditions in the 18th century to prove definitively that California was firmly attached to the rest of the continent. Then there are the Phantom Islands, the countless little dots on old maps that have since vanished. Islands like High Brazil off the coast of Ireland, said to appear only once every 7 years, or the Isle of Demons near Newfoundland, supposedly populated by whaling spirits. Many of these were born from sailors' tall tales, misinterpretations of logs, or fleeting glimpses of fog banks, icebergs, or even atmospheric mirages. A sailor might see a cloud on the horizon and mistake it for land. He'd log the coordinates, and a cartographer, with no reason to doubt him, would add a new island to the chart. These islands could persist for centuries, copied from one map to the next, because no one had the means to definitively disprove their existence. It was often easier and safer for a mapmaker to include a reported island than to omit it and be proven wrong later. These were the ghosts in the machine of cartography, born from the dangers and uncertainties of sea travel. However, the most intriguing non-existent lands were often deliberate creations, tools of political propaganda and strategic ambition. In an age of intense colonial rivalry, maps were not just navigational tools. They were claims to power. A kingdom could literally draw its influence onto the map. For example, a nation might exaggerate the size of a newly claimed territory or even invent a landmass to stake a claim in a strategic area. By publishing a map showing a certain river or coastline as part of their territory, a country could present a powerful visual argument for their ownership, whether it was based in reality or not. These maps were sent to rival courts and presented as fact. In the high-stakes game of empire building, he who drew the map often ruled the world, or at least tried to. A map could be a declaration of intent, a challenge to rivals, and a powerful piece of propaganda all rolled into one. For instance, the Dutch and Portuguese frequently published conflicting maps of Brazil and the East Indies, each version tailored to support their own colonial claims and trade monopolies. Another fascinating example is the mythical kingdom of Prester John. For centuries, Europeans were captivated by the legend of a powerful Christian king ruling a lost kingdom, first believed to be in Asia, and later, in Africa. This wasn't just a fairy tale. It was a geopolitical hope. European powers, feeling pressured by the expansion of Islam, desperately wanted to find a strong Christian ally on the other side of the Muslim world. So, cartographers began placing the kingdom of Prester John on their maps of Africa, often in the region of modern-day Ethiopia. They filled it with details gathered from rumors and legends, depicting a wealthy and formidable empire. These maps were an expression of a strategic desire. Finding Prester John meant opening a second front against their rivals and gaining access to immense wealth. Explorers like the Portuguese were actively sent to find this kingdom, using these very maps as their guide. The kingdom was a fantasy, but the belief in it drove real-world exploration and diplomacy for hundreds of years. So what does this all tell us? It shows that 16th-century cartography was as much an art as it was a science. It was a field where fact, fiction, fear, and ambition all collided on a single piece of vellum. These mapmakers weren't just drawing what they knew. They were drawing what they believed, what they feared, and what they hoped to be true. The empty spaces on the globe were a canvas for the human imagination. They filled the "here be dragons" voids not just with monsters but with philosophical ideals like Terra Australis, literary fantasies like the island of California, and political dreams like the kingdom of Prester John. These phantom lands are a powerful reminder that history is not always a straightforward record of facts. It's a story told by people with all their biases, dreams, and strategic motives. The next time you see an old, beautiful map, look closer. You might just find a country that never was, and a story that's more revealing than any real coastline could ever be. Thanks so much for watching and joining me on this journey into the lost world of phantom cartography. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the curious corners of history. See you next time.